Hello, welcome to the Record Celtic podcast. My name is Daniel Coe. I'm delighted this week to be joined by the one and only Michael Gannon. Mick, how are you?
I'm good, Daniel. I'm not too bad, thanks. I'm glad that last week on these channels I said everyone's just got to calm down and just take things easy. Let the new Celtic manager get his feet under the table, let him breathe. It wasn't a must-win on Sunday. Just let everyone just calm down. It's just let things settle. And I'm glad that nobody listened to me. Not a word. Everyone has lost their marbles in the last 72 hours.
The asylum of Scottish football is alive and well.
I feel like was it Comical Alley? Nothing to see, calm down, everyone. It's all fine. I tried to warn you. No. So nobody, everyone just ignored. All the warnings were ignored, and it's all hell is broken loose.
Aye. Well, I mean, we are going to talk about Record Sports columnist Ryan Stevenson and his comments on Wilfried Nancy, which has generated a really big response. Mm-hmm. Before we do that, though, Mick, maybe we should start on Wilfried Nancy's first game against Hearts. Obviously, a really disappointing result. Were you surprised to see him go to the back three and sort of rip it up?
No, to be honest with you. Well, yes, I know. It was a big change early on. But listen, the thing about Celtic this season is the formation doesn't really matter because Celtic don't have the players to play in any formation right now. They don't. That's the news flash. Martin Neil was sticking to a kind of. He changed it from. Well, Martin Neil changed the formation from Brendan Rodgers into a kind of 4-3-3, but he kind of almost a 4-4-2. Mm-hmm. We kind of two slightly deeper midfield players and no winger. He played Luke McCowan. Eventually, he played Luke McCowan wide right. So he didn't have the players to play 4-3-3, 4-4-2, but he had to make something work. So they still don't have the players to play 4-4-2, 4-3-3, 3-5-2, 4-4-1-1. They don't have the players to play any of these positions. Really, at the moment, that's the reality of where they are in terms of a squad because of injuries and recruitment. So formation has been a big highlight because of the big change. But Martin Neil changed the formation and he got results. I thought the game itself, I thought Celtic started pretty well. I thought the first kind of 40 minutes, I thought they looked pretty good. They moved the ball quickly. The goal was a major setback. It was a messy goal. It was a kind of defensive kind of going to sleep, not playing the whistle. Players not getting out quick enough, not reacting quick enough. It was a poor goal defensively. Which hasn't really been like Celtic that much. Defensively, been okay at times. So that was a problem because Hearts were up against it at that point. I thought they were second best and they were struggling. But getting that first goal for Hearts was so vital because they could change the way they could change the way they play, and it played into their hands. Derek McInnes is an expert at going man for man, negating players. I mean, I thought he did a good job in negating Hatate, who's been really good in the last few weeks for Celtic. In the second half, I think Celtic couldn't really figure out a way to cope with that system. It had a couple of chances, and then the second goal was another defensive lapse from a set piece. Pretty poor. And at that point, there's no way back because if anyone can see a game out at that stage, it's Hearts and McInnes. So it was a harsh lesson. But in terms of the game itself, I don't think the formation. I think, don't be wrong. I think the second half at times. Players didn't really seem to know. They seemed a bit confused at where they went, whether should have been the pitch, which I guess is going to happen because the guy's in the door, one training session, and he's trying his ideas across, and there was a bit of confusion and players not quite getting where they're meant to be in the pitch and all that kind of stuff. And I guess that was understandable. So, however, the response to it has been hysterical. I mean, it has been hysterical. I mean, and listen, people are going to frame it that it's the mainstream media response, or it's fan media response, or it's fan response. To be honest with you, across all avenues, the response has been a bit hysterical, I think. I mean, so much made on. I mean, listen, I thought Sky were a wee bit naughty with the camera and stuff. The thing about the tactical board and all that kind of stuff. There's nothing really that new about this kind of stuff. I've seen managers doing it down south. Guys like Thomas Frank and Amarin and these guys using these kind of things. Arteta, I think I've seen him using it at times. Right. It's not that uncommon. If you win the game 2-0, winning the game 2-0, it's nobody's batting an eyelid because they lose the game. It opens it up for the the meme here. It becomes a meme, doesn't it? And people jump on it and kind of ridicule the manager, which is grossly unfair. So I think there's some of the knee-jerk reaction I thought was wild, because Celtic have not been performing well this season. And another thing that people jumped on is the comment, I think Nancy came out after and said that it's not about winning and losing, it's performances. And people jump on that and says, no, it's all about winning. He knows that, right? That's not what he's saying.
Aye.
What he's saying that results come from performances in the long term. Celtic in the last, in fact, pretty much most of this season have been getting away with results, sometimes undeserved. Under Martin O'Neill, I thought they weren't great. Second half against Dundee, they're good for half an hour against Hibs, that was it. St Mirren, 90 minutes, scored a worldie in 90 minutes. You go back this season to Kilmarnock away, St Mirren the first day of the season. Celtic have not had the performances, and it's something. If you don't have the performances on a consistent basis, eventually results are going to catch up with you. And Martin O'Neill knew that these performances that he was seeing eventually was going to catch up with him at some point. It might have been against Hearts under his watch as well. That result could have happened under Martin O'Neill, quite conceivably. If they played as badly as they played the second half against Dundee against Hearts, that we did in the second half, that's what happened. That happened against Hearts as well. So it's not about systems. It's not even about managers. It's about personnel. Celtic are badly lacking across the pitch at the moment, and it's costing them, because they've not got the quality to deliver the consistency of performances, and therefore results are going to struggle. So what Nancy is saying, and by the way, it's exactly what Ange Postecoglou said when he started off at Celtic, when he lost 3 of the first 6. It's about getting the performance levels up to a level that will make results more achievable over the longer term. Because, to be honest with you, Celtic have been flying by the seat of their pants and getting by on moments of quality from individuals, i.e. Callum McGregor, or sheer will or experience from guys like Scales, McGregor, Schmeichel, Matati. These guys have got experience to get over the line when it's hook it by crook. But the overall quality is lacking, and it's affecting the performances, and it's going to affect the results. I said last week, Celtic are going to drop more points as they go along here, because for these very reasons, regardless of who the manager is. So jumping on this big pylon against the manager is pointless, because he's not a miracle worker. The same problems that have dogged this team all season and under Martin O'Neill, albeit the results fell his way, when he knows that those results could have went either way, a lot of them, it's going to be a pattern until they get to January and get some players on board, or get some players back from injury as well. So people are, it's not, nobody's going to listen. People are going to need to calm down, because it's going to be, this is what it's going to be with Celtic. It's not going to be a linear process. New manager, woof, right to the stars. It's not going to be that way, because this squad is not going to allow that to happen. There's too many poor players out of position in this team.
It's worth mentioning as well that, you obviously talking about Martin O'Neill. Martin O'Neill, people forget, I know he's a bit older now and what have you. He hadn't managed in a while. Martin O'Neill is, in my mind anyway, a top-tier manager, a top-tier Premier League elite coach. So it's no wonder he come in and got really good results, I think you're right. I think Celtic is kind of, what's the word? It's nobody's vision really at the minute, and that's what I guess Wilfried Nancy's trying to come in and implement his vision, I guess.
Yeah. People also, but I think it's a bit of kind of a slight against Martin O'Neill as well. People go, "Oh, Martin O'Neill was just simple football and get it up early and get it direct and be quicker passing, simple game." Like, yeah, that's like as if he's like there's no tactical or technical or analytical stuff.
Pass it or something. Aye.
Absolute nonsense. When you tell me that Sean Maloney, who was up until not long ago, was telling Kevin De Bruyne where to be. Do you think he's more analytical and modern thinking? Mark Fotheringham, worked all across Europe, worked with some of the best bosses in Europe. Do you think he's not a modern thinking coach who's getting these players? I seen the thing last week with Fotheringham talking about the change that they kind of the trigger point for pressing and all that stuff, and the way they're playing. Of course it's technical, it's analytical. And Martin O'Neill is also a tactician as well. He's not just walking into the dressing room and goes, right, boys, get wired in, get the ball at the pitch and get wired in. Like, I don't know, but he said 975 games as a manager. Do you think that's all he's got in his locker?
At the very top, of course.
That's nonsense. It does him a disservice as well, because it's not the case. But I think the problems that Nancy had on Sunday were problems that were deep lying, and it was already there. And saying that, I did think I thought the change of formation to that was risky, because I think what O'Neill had found was a kind of lesser of the evils in terms of the formation, that it made Celtic a wee bit more rigid in their shape. Again, but the result was coming no matter what, so that might not have worked either. I just think that it maybe was a bit too much information for the players too soon, and likewise, that's why he's calling players on McGregor and Tierney to show them the board because where they should be. So therefore, I think it might have been too much too soon. But then this is his style, and this is what he wants to play. So you've got to let the guy do his job. It might take time. You've got to let him do it. It's not a pre-season. He's parachuting in December, and the busiest week or the hardest week of the season. So I don't blame him for saying, no, this is the way I'm going to play. It might take us a few weeks. We need to sort it. So I get it. I just think that might have been a risk too far. I think the Yang and Taneki as the wide men. I mean, I think Yang didn't actually play that badly on Sunday.
I thought Yang was actually decent.
Right. I still think he's nowhere near the level that Celtic require or have had previously. Taneki is starting to become a bit of a concern in terms of his output. He can run, he can beat a man. Not enough in terms of goals and assists. I mean, too many wrong options taken at the final third. So that's a concern that I think that O'Neill recognised as in the latter weeks.
Yeah.
Excuse me, that you didn't see him as much for that reason. So that's a concern. So going with those two as the wide men, having to do the job in attack, and then also help out defending, I thought, don't have the personnel for that yet. I think if you get Alistair Johnson and Almeida on the flanks, maybe perhaps that works. But then again, Celtic don't have a recognised striker at the moment. So Maida's got to play through the middle. And Celtic are relying on Diaz Maida through the middle as their main kind of goal threat. And Diaz Maida's not doing anything differently in other times. But Diaz Maida's a guy who will miss chances. He's got a great cutting edge sometimes, but he's going to be quite blunt other times. And sometimes in games you might take 2 or 3 chances to score, but you've got other guys who are posing a threat that can get a goal. At the moment, Celtic don't have other guys posing a threat to get a goal.
Exactly.
And midfielders like McGregor or Hatate or whatever. Negan's got a goal threat in him, but his general play, I think, is slightly lacking in certain areas. So it's problems all over the pitch for him. It really is. I mean, there's nothing up. I mean, goal threat-wise, there's very little. Very little. I mean, Iniacho had a brief appearance on a bench the other week, and I've not been seen since. We find out if he's injured or what's happening there. It doesn't look great. Johnny Kenny had come in for a while, done okay.
I thought it was really interesting that Johnny Kenny didn't even get off the bench when he was last 3 games, I think. Yeah. I just thought it was interesting. He started, and then towards the end, you thought maybe they got a cameo, coming on in those games, but didn't even get off the bench.
Mark O'Neill has got a good an eye for a player as anyone in football. Decides that he's not quite up to scratch for Celtic, and that's not something that's no offence to the lad. It might eventually become that kind of player, but right now he's not a Celtic standard player. He's just not. And that's not. I'm not being harsh on the lad. He's just not. I mean, you're looking at now. Realistically, does Johnny Kenny get in the Aberdeen team ahead of like Nisbet and all that stuff? No. Does he get the Hibs team ahead of Martin Boyle and all that stuff? And Bowie? No. Does he get in the Hearts team ahead of Shankland? No. So you're talking about your top 4 or 5 teams in Scotland, and he's not getting a game for them. So why would we get a game for Celtic? They can't in these teams. So that's the level we're talking about here. I mean, he wouldn't get in this team. He wouldn't bench for these teams. And you could argue would he get in the St Mirren team ahead against Mandron and all that stuff? No, he wouldn't. So you're now would they head Simon Murray for Dundee? Probably not.
No, probably not. Right?
Would they head the boys up front for Motherwell right now? Probably not. So you're now taking out most of the Premier League he wouldn't get a game for. No. And you're asking me the Celtic's main striker. So it's not fair, no, lad.
No, it isn't fair.
It's not that level. That's the reality. He's not at that level. So any actual big question mark, he's not been fit for a while now. You think he'll be back soon. He's got to have to come back and make some kind of impact in the short term at least.
And they need. I've never seen a Celtic team, Mick, so in desperate need of a striker. I mean,
screaming out for something.
2 strikers, even. Do you know they're just so toothless up front.
No, they need a couple of strikers in January, and I mean ones that are going to hit the ground running. So
ready-made starters.
I think people are going to have to give Nancy a bit of leeway, and don't be fooled by those 6 domestic games for Martin O'Neill that had in charge, because as I said, flying by the seat of their pants at times. Even the cup semi-final against Rangers, 1-0 up and then slumped. We're hanging on against 10 men, concede, and then it's a worldie from McGregor, another worldie out of nowhere from Callum McGregor, which kind of ended the contest. And even the ended chances, Rangers had chances to come back again. So they could have squeaked by that one. They could have went either way as well. So, I mean, don't be fooled by that period. And Martin Hill, by the way, Martin Hill was not fooled either by that period.
No.
Privately and publicly, he was not fooled by that. He knew his job was to try and get out there with little damage as possible, hand it over. But he knew fine well that there was trouble coming down the pipeline for this team.
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately for Nancy, it's happened to him in day one. And unfortunately for him, he's got a cup final on Sunday. I think Roma we can take separately. I think we need to take that out equation type thing. But Sunday now is the be all and end all. Against a wily manager. It's perhaps one of the worst teams you could be facing in this situation.
A very good manager.
You will need to get people are going to need to stop piling on and jumping on the tactics board, the trainers or whatever it is, right? Because that stuff is what happened. It's a bit like when Ange Postecoglou took charge, the kind of meme culture and the kind of ridicule and all that stuff, and that doesn't help. Maybe a lot of Celtic fans have leapt on it, and there's guys phoning in saying they should be sacked immediately. No, that's nonsense. They need to take a step back and give the guy a chance to kind of breathe.
Well, I mean, on that, Mick, I mean, we mentioned the tactics board earlier, and see when that happens live on telly and Chris Boyd's giving it Connect 4 and all that, like that's, to me, that's still the right side of banter, if that's the right word. But obviously in today's Record Sport, Ryan Stevenson has written a column, and if it's out there, I'm not going to sit and read it all. But one paragraph says, so when a new manager arrives and starts pulling out tactics boards and green trainers, you have to ask yourself, what are we actually dealing with here? I mean, see, when I read that, I thought, what am I dealing with here? What is he talking about? I mean, see, just for reference, someone else pointed this out on social media. Martin O'Neill wore green and white trainers. What's that guy doing? Like, I was totally mystified by that. And I love Ryan Stevenson. He's, I've done stuff with him. He's on the hotline.
We love Steve-O. I mean, we encourage him to speak his mind, and it's certainly got people talking. Again, 2 weeks ago, Celtic had a 73-year-old in a tracksuit jumping about. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
We're smashing through the looking glass here. So we really are. Like I say, that kind of stuff, I don't quite understand. Listen, do I think that Nancy is a bit of a gamble? Absolutely. Do I agree with his setup at the weekend? Probably not. Could he be a failure, a spectacular failure at Celtic? Possibly, yes. But that's all things you have to judge going in the future. You can't do that on day one, and you can't do it based on things like tactical boards. And
it's got very little to do with his trainers.
I think that's a bit much, to be honest with you. Listen, we've also got. I mean, Chris Sutton, who's obviously another opinionated columnist of ours, is kind of hit back a wee bit, and I know they two have had a wee bit of online to and fro. Him and Steve-O, which is good fun. But so Sutty's got stuff running on our website as well, with a different point of view. Put it that way.
Definitely.
Listen, Sutty wouldn't be shy. If Sutty thought something was a dud, he would let him know. Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
So he's coming out in a bit of a kind of response to it as well. Yeah, I just think. Listen, it's nothing new in this country. People might. I sometimes wonder, like, if someone came in from like Germany, like a serious country like Germany, like a reporter, and went, "This is the agenda for today." They'd be like, "Oh, sorry, what?"
I know.
What? Yeah.
I even think if you're Wilfried Nancy, you must be sitting going.
Thing is, right. This is the thing, right? That this is what I'm talking about. He's got a couple hundred games on his belt, won an MLS Cup and all that stuff, and got to the final of the CONCACAF Champions League. I mean, I think CV's fine, right? But you'll not be used to this level of scrutiny and intensity, because you don't have 3 days of punters and pundits and everyone else piling into. I mean, you just don't get it. You just do not have that in America. You don't have ex-players. You don't have Sam Allardyce criticising the appointment as calling her a school teacher. I mean, what's going on? What is going on here?
I honestly see so miffed.
I mean, and that's so disingenuous from a guy who's been a manager, and by the way, a manager who's been ridiculed as well.
I know.
At times, you think, I mean, it's so disingenuous. You look at it. So, I mean, no one seems to go, wait a minute, I've got former managers having a go at me. Don't you know who I am? Don't even the courtesy to hit my Wikipedia page. I mean, it's just a bit much. It is a bit much. It is a bit much. Listen, we're in the media, right? So we know what it's like, and we know that it can get a bit frenzied and all that stuff. But at some point, you go, wait a minute here, come on.
Well, look, back to matters on the pitch. You mentioned Roma. We're recording this on Wednesday. Obviously, the Roma game is tomorrow night. Massive game for Celtic in terms of progressing in the Europa League. But you mentioned it earlier, it's going to be so hard. This is a Roma team that are challenging for Serie A this season. They've got one of the best managers in Europe, I would put forward, in Gasperini. And obviously they won at Glasgow against Rangers earlier this season. So it's going to be an uphill task.
Very much so. Very much so. And it might even be, I mean, it's a bit of a free hit. I think if Celtic can get through this game and go down fighting, I think that's fine, because I think it is a big ask. Roma, I mean, I think they're almost on the verge of qualification as well. So they've got a big incentive. I think they've lost back-to-back games, am I right in saying they've lost Napoli, didn't they? And lost again to Cagliari. I could be wrong. I think they're on the back of a couple of defeats.
Lost at home to Napoli and lost away to Calgary. Aye.
Yeah, so they're back-to-back defeats as well. So they might be a wee bit kind of stung. I was impressed with them against Rangers. I thought they looked very controlled.
Yeah,
I mean, I thought they were pretty much. I'm not saying they cruised that one, but it wasn't far off it against Rangers. So I think it is a big ask. I think a Celtic can be a bit more compact and try and be cute. It'd be interesting to see how Nancy plays it, because he has gone up against teams that are stronger than his team with Columbus, especially that CONCACAF Champions League, up against Mexican teams. And Mexican teams to USA MLS teams, it's a bit like kind of
Scotland.
Yeah. So he had to go, and he was quite defensive, and they played in the break and all that stuff and that. So I want to see a bit of that from him. I want to see maybe his back three becomes a back five, but he has like a Ralston in there, and maybe has a different kind of left side rather than going with the wider kind of guys, and maybe plays it a bit more compact. And you've got the Maeda pace and Tanecki pace on the hit and the counter. I think that could be, because I think Roma's going to have to go on attack. So I say they're on the back of two defeats, and they want to qualify early. So I think this will be interesting, because I don't think Nancy he's not quite the Ange Postecoglou kind of sod it. We're all going for it. I don't think he's quite that kind of guy. He is an attack-minded coach. He does like to kind of play attacking football, but I think he can be very pragmatic. As I showed in that CONCACAF Cup is the one as example you look at. So it'll be interesting if you see that kind of attitude and shutting the game down and being a bit cute about it. I think that would maybe. I mean, I'm not saying they win the game, but if you can see signs of tactical nous and getting the team getting an idea of what they want to play, then yeah, I think that would be as much you can hope for, really. Because I think I'm not saying it's inevitable, but I can't see. I mean, it could be proved wrong, but I just can't see a way to win, really, to be honest with you. And I think Sunday's a more important game.
Well, I mean, let's talk about Sunday. Obviously, we mentioned it earlier. Stephen Robinson, St Mirren. You mentioned he was obviously one of in my eyes anyway, one of the best managers in the Scottish Premiership. I know they've just come off a run. I think it was 8 defeats in a row, but they did beat Dundee United last weekend. I think this is going to be really, really tough for Celtic.
Yeah, I mean, but I talk about baptism of fire. I mean, and running from McGuinness into Roma into Stephen Robinson, and by the way, St Mirren have caused Celtic problems a lot. I mean, Celtic have managed to get results against them. Is it like 3 last-minute winners in the last 3 games?
I was going to say that. Just now,
just about managed it against them. I mean, the big-ass pitch at Hampden might suit them a bit more. But if there's anyone's got a game plan that's going to cause Celtic problems, it's St Mirren and Stephen Robinson. So it's another real kind of this welcome to Scottish football. Wilfried, this is what you get. This is going to be as hard as it gets. Really, a real. I don't think they've been great this season. They've not managed to. I think their performances and results haven't quite married up. There have been times I've seen them; they've been good, but not getting the results.
Yeah.
A really sticky, tricky game. And this is one I think that Nancy has to kind of focus on, really, rather than Roma. And this is the one he has to get a result, because if he doesn't win this trophy, then the pressure is going to get a bit ridiculous, right or wrongly. So that the players and the manager need to dig this one out about however means necessary.
What's your gut feeling? Do you think they will? That's a terrible question, but
this Celtic team is, as I keep saying, and I've said since pretty much August, is unreliable. It's not a great look. I mean, if they turn up and play like they played against Feyenoord, then yes. If they turn up and play the way they played against Hearts, or second half against Hearts, Dundee, St Mirren, and countless other time this season, then they're in trouble. They're going to be in trouble. So it's not a given. I think they might just about have enough. The big picture at hand, and I think there's enough players in that team who are match winners. He needs big performances from McGregor, Hatate, Maida, Tierney, Trusty Scales. They need to produce big performances. They need big performances, and I think they have got enough that they can get. I mean, if they get the first goal, I think that's vital. So if Mirren gets the first goal, it's a world of pain for Wilfried. A world of pain, because again, a bit like Hearts and McInnes, if they get ahead, they are going to be hard to shift.
Yeah.
So I think it's almost first goal as a winner on Sunday.
So you can see there, obviously, games coming up for Celtic. If you're listening, obviously you won't see it, but Roma, then St Mirren in the final. Dundee United away is no easy game. Then Aberdeen at Celtic Park, Livingston away, Motherwell away is looking like a really tough game in the 30th too. And then, of course, culminates with a showdown with Rangers on the 3rd of January. So if you're Wilfried Nancy, you just no let up at all.
No, and this is what I was saying last week and this week, that Celtic are not going to come through that period winning every one of these games.
No,
just not. But what I would say is that I don't think Hearts will go through all their games and win all their games. Yep. I don't think Rangers will go through all their games, win all their games either. I think because it's such a busy period, games coming thick and fast, injuries taking their toll, European football for Celtic and Rangers and Aberdeen. I think it's impossible to get through this period unscathed. So there will be bumps at this point in time. I genuinely think Celtic are on a case of just get to January by hook or by crook. If they can get, what is it, six games to Rangers games? At 6 up to that point? 4, 6, 8, or 7 games to go.
7.
If they can get through that period and maybe, I don't know, you get a draw at Tannadice and win the home games, maybe even get a defeat in there somewhere, and then if they get through the Rangers game without getting beat, or even a win, then all of a sudden, even if they're 3 or 4 or 5 points behind Hearts in January, I don't think it's that big a disaster. I think you're pretty much, if you say the season starts here for Nancy, you're 3 points behind with a game in hand, and the season starts here. It's now a 23 game season.
Do you still make Celtic favourites to win the title, Mick?
At this point in time, I do, only because they've got the resources to change it.
Yeah.
But it all depends on what they do in January. And this is a recruitment team that's not had two very poor windows in a row. And now all the eggs are in the basket to produce a winning window in January. Because this is what it's down to now. Celtic need to recruit properly in January, or they are in grave danger of losing out in the league to Hearts. And I still don't think you can discount Rangers either at this point in time, because they might go again.
Even, I know Rangers have got a game in hand over Motherwell. You can see it there. Motherwell have been incredible this season.
They've been brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. And Celtic going there on the 30th, as I say, it's not going to be an easy game.
No.
Like you say, I guess I'm just repeating what you're saying, but
I don't really see any kind of easy games, really. I mean, no. I even look at Livingston. You think Livingston, again, I've seen a few about their games. Livingston are other ones. The results and the performances aren't matching up either. They've been good in games.
And Aberdeen have won 4 in a row now.
Aberdeen have shown signs of light. So every game's difficult at this point in time. Every game is difficult. You've not got a team that you can even put in the park that fits any formation. Because right at this point in time, Celtic don't have the players to play in any formation. This is what I'm saying. They don't have players to play any formation. Everything they do is going to be amend and make do. There's going to be a round peg in a square hole somewhere. So it's hang on. I mean, Nancy has to hang on and get a couple of results. He needs to win the cup on Sunday, get a couple of results going into the new year, and try and get through that game against Rangers unscathed as well. And then over to the recruitment team. It's Paul Tisdale, and I mean, again, talk about the optics of the tactics board. Him having a wee snooze at Parkhead last week did not look great. I mean, it wasn't a great timing. I mean, who knows what he was doing? But a guy who wasn't sitting next to Nancy last week at the press conference, unveiling them, never faced up to the media, never addressed the fans. I know he did a thing with the fans forum in the summer, but I think kind of closed doors with some punters. A lot of it's on him. And by the way, a guy who's we were led to believe had a big say in the managerial getting Nancy get identified as well. Yep. He's now in charge of this window, and it has to be right. It has to be right. And if it's not right, I mean, the blame game has been passed on to Brendan Rodgers for the last couple of windows. He's not here anymore, so there's no one to blame.
Nobody behind now. If
they're dithering in the market and not getting deals done to the end of the window, and they're dropping points in between times, you can't blame Brendan Rodgers. He's sitting his feet up, having the pretty much chased him at the door. So it's a big January for Paul Tisdale, because the Celtic, I mean, they pretty much backed him and said, I mean, I'm not saying it's a Tisdale against Rodgers, but they took the Tisdale route. He's got to deliver, and they've got to deliver quick. They've got to deliver quickly, because they're another busy month in January, and they can't afford to be dithering.
The very final thing that I wanted to just mention, Mick, was the sad news yesterday that Dixie Deans has sadly passed away at the age of 79. A genuine Celtic legend, obviously a bit before I think both our times, but as I say, a guy growing up I'd always heard of as a legend. Hat-trick in the 1972 Scottish Cup final. It's just a really sad day. It's another Celtic legend lost.
Yeah, he is another one of these legends. It's funny, he's a guy, he actually owned a pub not far from where I grew up. So occasionally you'd be pop in there and he would be occasionally kicking about. Dries a bone, funny guy.
He was a big character, wasn't he?
A really big character, yeah. Before my time, obviously, I'm only 28. Remember, Daniel?
Of course, aye.
So I never got to see him, but I kind of met him a few times in his pub as he had back in the day. Great guy, yeah. And I say he talked to older people about him. I mean, what a player as well. I mean, he had his place in history. Came out of a time when Celtic were one of the best teams in Europe. I mean, Scotland. So yeah, it's just sad. I mean, what 79?
79, aye.
So I mean, it's a sad one. It's a sad thing, because obviously the kind of heroes from yesteryear from all the clubs and beyond are kind of you're saying goodbye to these guys. It's quite sad, isn't it? Pass your time. But the great thing is that they've got their place in history, so they'll never be forgotten. Do you know what I mean? That's one solace that their families can take and all that stuff, is that these guys have got a place in history, and nobody will ever forget them. So yeah, but it's sad. But my thoughts about his family, obviously. I
was going to say that, goes without saying. Everyone at the Record Celtic podcast and Record Sport, our thoughts go out to his family and friends. I think that brings us to the end, Mick, of this week's Record Celtic podcast. Thank you very much for listening at home. We will be back next week to pour over the results from everything we've talked about today. Hopefully Wilfried Nancy will be under a little bit less scrutiny, but we'll see. Mick, it's always a pleasure.
Surely next week, everyone will listen to what I said this time. Everyone just calm down.
We'll all calm down, that's it.
Everybody just chill out for a bit and take a break and let things settle a wee bit. Or we'll all be running about with our hair on fire.
Who knows?
I know what my money's on, that's for sure.
Mick, it's always a pleasure, and thank you very much to everyone listening at home. We'll be back next week. Cheers.